Hello students, welcome to my second video of ecosystems. In my last video, I have covered the first part, the introduction part of ecosystem. So why do we call it as ecosystems, and what are the different types of ecosystems? And we have seen food chain, all those things, and all in a very periphery level. So in this video, I'm going to explain a very deeper level. So in detail, we are going to study. So mainly, I'm going to focus on two different things like biotic components and types of ecosystem. So in this particular video, so let us move on to the first slide. So first one is the biotic components. First we'll see that biotic and abiotic, so all those things. And that biotic components, already we have seen in my previous video. I have explained what is biotic components and what is abiotic components, right? Non-living organisms which are present in the ecosystem is nothing but abiotic system components, and living organisms which are present in the ecosystem is nothing but biotic components. Now let us see in this video a little more deeper level, so what exactly it is. Now first I will take this producer organisms. All right. In the producer organisms, the producers are mainly grasses, right? Plants or saplings or trees. So they will produce food on their own. So that's why they are called as a producer organisms. So they will not depend on others. Okay, rather they take sun's radiation and rainwater, and so they prepare food in the photosynthesis process, and so that's why they are called as a producer organisms. So mainly grasses, though a few herbs and shrubs also contribute to primary production of biomass, right? Some of the what you call common species of grasses, the grasses names are given over here as an example. Okay, so all these things come under producer organisms, so it come under biotic components. Now now I'm going to categorize like producers, consumers, and decomposers. So have just categorized into three different types, and the respective images are shown on the slide. So first one is the producers, different grass species, right? So you can see the different grass species and all. Okay, so different names are given to that. So those are called as a producers. Now slowly we'll move on to this consumers of grassland ecosystem. Okay, these are the consumers. So there are lots of insects, birds, and animals, creatures. So all these things will depend on these producers. Okay, so those are called as the consumers of grassland ecosystem. So it can be different consumers if you come out of this grassland. So it will hunt, right? Or it depends, it depend on other animals too. So those are called as consumers of ecosystem. Particularly if you talk about this grassland, so these are the creatures will come into picture. In the same way for the grassland ecosystem, so in more this decomposers, so these are the decomposers in the grassland ecosystems. In the grass, so sort of insects will come and eat it up. So even the plants, you can see that. So in the agriculture field, so the farming, so there will be lots of insects will eat the plants. Okay, so those will come under this decomposers. That is the difference between producers, consumers, and decomposers. Now coming to this desert ecosystem, right? So the desert is a landscape or region that receives almost no precipitation, right? So here that desert, we know that there are a number of deserts which are available in India. So how does it look like? Sand particles. Sometimes it will be extremely hot, sometimes it will be extremely cold, and there will not be sufficient water available. Okay, so that is nothing but the ecosystem, a desert ecosystem. And coming to this area, it occupies about 17% of the earth's surface. So only 17% of earth's surface will be occupied by this desert. So how the deserts are categorized. So deserts are categorized by hot days and cold nights. So it will be if it is a hot days, it will be extremely hot, and during winter season, it will be extremely cold. So in that way, deserts are categorized, and the different deserts of the world are mainly located in the southwestern United States, Mexico, right? So these are the different places where you come across this desert ecosystem. Now let us move on to this. Now we'll see that biotic components, as I told you, that biotic producer organisms will be there, and consumer organisms will be there, and decomposers will be there, right? So first one is in the fresh water we are going to see that. So this is the freshwater ecosystem. So in this freshwater, so why do we call it as it's freshwater? It is away from the salt content. Okay, so in that is nothing but the freshwater ecosystems. In that freshwater ecosystems, so we can see lots of living organisms, and so those are biotic components. So first one is producer organisms. So it includes submerged, free floating, and amphibious macrophytes like hydrilla. So all those names are given, right? And suspended lower phytoplanktons. So these are the producer organisms. They will produce their food on its own under the fresh water. Now coming to this consumer organisms, those are categorized into different types. Like one is primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. So they are zooplanktons and benthos. Those are primary consumers, right? Next one is secondary consumers. They are carnivores. Like they eat insects and fish and feeding on herbivores. Those are secondary consumers. Now coming to this tertiary consumers, they are the large fish, eating on the small fish. So that is nothing but tertiary consumers. Now moving on to this decomposers, they are microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, and acetinomides. So these are the decomposers names. So they will what you call, they divide that microorganisms into small organisms, microorganisms, and they consume it. So those called they are called as decomposers. Now coming to this freshwater ecosystem, abiotic. So we have finished biotic and coming to this abiotic. So these are the inorganic as well as organic substances present in the bottom soil or dissolved in water. So in addition to the minerals, some dead organic matter is also present. So those are called as abiotic. So not only the living organisms, so apart from that, so inorganic and which are dissolved in water, and sometimes dead organic matter is also present under the fresh water. So those are called as abiotic components. Now coming to this marine or ocean ecosystem. So it's a huge one, ocean, in the sense there are lots of living organisms, non-living organisms present under the sea, under the ocean, right? So marine ecosystems in the earth, aquatic they include oceans, estuaries, lagoons, mangroves, and coral reefs, and deep sea and sea floor. And the what do you call, the percentage of that ocean which are covered by the ocean water on the earth's surface is 71 percentage. An area of some 361 million square kilometers are occupied as ocean ecosystems in the earth's surface. So these ecosystems are different from freshwater ecosystem mainly because of its salty water. As I told you, that how does it differ from this fresh ecosystem is nothing but it is away from the salt. Now food chains, already have explained about this, and we'll see some more information about these food chains. So transfer of energy, nutrients from one feeding group of organism to the other. So transferring one form of energy into another form of energy, so that is nothing but the chain, the food chain. Here we have three types are there: producers, consumers, and decomposers of each ecosystem made up a food chain. So there are many food chains in the ecosystem. The energy is transferred, and not who eats who, right? So that is nothing but this food chain. Now the pictures that we can see here: producer, and then so next comes the primary consumers, small insects, and next comes secondary consumers, birds, and then tertiary consumers, fox, and then the other microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, so decomposers. So this will form a food chain. That's the example of food chain. Now other food chains under the, right, ocean, water, so all for in the area food web of the area, maintaining the stability of an ecosystem. So everything will make a equilibrium, the stability in the ecosystems. So next one, the other things like plants. So how that so many things will eat the plants and grass. So how it is forming a chain, and how it is forming a web. So it is clearly you can see in this image. And now how the energy flow takes place, okay, from sun's radiation coming and falling on the plants, and it produces energy, and then come back, it'll energy will send back, and then there comes the primary consumers, and there comes the secondary consumers, and next there comes the decomposers. So while all these things depending on each other taking food, and it emits energy, that energy flow back will back to this ecosystem, right? This is how the energy flow takes place. So this is all about the few glimpse of the food chain on this biotic and abiotic. So thank you for watching this video.